They call Nigeria the African giant for a reason.
The population is estimated to hit 1 billion.
It's home to Africa's biggest population and largest economy.
Nigeria would experience a steady growth rate of 2.7% annually.
Powered by a growing services industry and agricultural exports like cocoa and palm oil. It has Nollywood, Africa's biggest film industry, fashion houses, a booming music business, and a very wealthy elite.
Nigeria's rapid population growth poses a critical challenge in terms of the economic strength needed to support the growing population.
Nigeria also has resources, minerals, gold, and lots of...
The Nigerian economy has grown and evolved greatly since independence, driven by the developments in industry, trade and investments. We have witnessed an evolution in ideologies from government-led industrialization to private sector-led industrialization driven by transformational reforms. These reforms and investments were championed by titans who overcame several challenges and either convinced us all or took the first steps in uncharted waters.
Nigeria's direct trade with Europe started from the 15th century. The geographical territory now known as Nigeria had a cowrie currency system and was part of the cowrie currency system of West Africa, which dates as far back as the 8th century. Recent studies recognize its full operation in Nigeria as early as the 12th century AD. The Nigerian cowrie currency was a sophisticated form of currency capable of adjustment to the particular needs of Nigerian trade at the time in question. The wide circulation of the cowrie currency in the West African countries at the early period clearly indicates that the West African economies were monetized. The cowrie currency was a unit of account, a common measure of value. Thus, it could serve as the unit in terms of which the value of all goods and services was measured and expressed. The cowrie currency had enabled the economy to overcome the inherent problems of the barter exchange system. Nigeria gained independence from Great Britain on October 1st, 1960. The country has always had great potentials in trade, commerce, and human resources. At independence in 1960 and for much of that decade, agriculture was the mainstay of the Nigerian economy, providing food and employment for the populace, raw materials for the nascent industrial sector, and generating the bulk of government revenue and foreign exchange earnings. Following the discovery of oil and its exploration and exportation in commercial quantities, the fortunes of agriculture gradually diminished, while crude petroleum replaced it as the dominant source of revenue and export earnings. The drive for industrial development in Nigeria earnestly started in the early 1960s with the first National Development Plan for the period 1962 to 1968. The period of this plan witnessed the commissioning of energy projects such as the Kainji Dam and the Ughelli thermal plants, which provided a vital infrastructural backbone for the nascent industrial sector. Other important industrial infrastructure developed during this period, which was considered crucial for catalyzing industrial takeoff in Nigeria, included an oil refinery, a development bank, and a mint and security company.
Since independence, Nigerian businesses have built on both ancient traditions of commerce within and between regions, as well as the foundations laid by multinational businesses such as the UAC, UTC, Leventis, Chanrai, and Chelerams.
The second National Development Plan, 1970 to 1974, attempted to address the limitation of the import substituting industrialization ISI policies and placed emphasis on the upgrading of local production of intermediate and capital goods for sale to other industries. This was the first systematic effort to create an industrial structure. The second plan coincided with Nigeria's newly acquired status as a major petroleum producing country. As the economy benefited heavily from enormous foreign exchange inflows, the government embraced ambitious and costly industrial projects in sectors such as iron and steel, cement, salt, sugar, fertilizer, pulp and paper, and among others.
In the manufacturing sector, our achievements in the creation of local production capacity in areas such as consumer products and cement have been driven by champions such as Dangote Industries Limited, BUA, the Odutola Group, and Adebowale Electronics, who were pioneers of Made in Nigeria. We must also mention companies such as Costaris, Dantata Group, and Elizade Motors, who built trading houses and made goods available for Nigerians in every corner of the country.
The 1972 Act on Indigenization of Enterprises Operating in Nigeria resulted in an indigenization policy, which was subsequently amended, repealed, and replaced by the Nigerian Enterprises Promotion Act of 1977. The objectives of the policy were to transfer ownership and control to Nigerians in respect of those enterprises formerly owned wholly or partly and controlled by foreigners, to foster widespread ownership of enterprises among Nigerian citizens, to create opportunities for Nigerian indigenous businessmen, and to encourage foreign businessmen and investors to move from the unsophisticated spheres of the economy to domains where large investments are required. The third National Development Plan, 1975 to 1980, was launched at the height of the oil boom. Despite a lack of executive capacity in the country, the plan envisaged an investment outlay of 42 billion naira, up from 3.2 billion naira of the second plan. Emphasis remained on public sector investment in industry, especially heavy industries. With easy access to foreign exchange, private firms opted for investments in the light, low technology consumer industries, which were heavily dependent on imported machinery and raw materials. It became apparent that the country had entered into industrial project agreements with very little concern for the country's capabilities for technology acquisition. The fourth National Development Plan, 1981 to 1985, coincided with the inception of a global economic recession, which sparked declining foreign exchange earnings, balance of payment disequilibrium, and unemployment in the Nigerian economy.
Black Monday, the day the Dow dropped more than 500 points, the day the Dow dropped more than 22%, almost double the rate of the Black Monday that signaled the beginning of the crash of 1929. But this crash of 1987 is not just an American experience. Around the world, stock markets fell faster than a skydiver without a parachute.
As a result, the hugely import-based manufacturing sector was severely hit. Plummeting world oil prices and dwindling foreign exchange earnings left industries in need of foreign exchange to import new materials and parts. Indeed, this global recession exposed profound weaknesses in Nigeria's industrial structure and planning. It was evident at the end of the fourth development decade in Nigeria that existing strategies targeted at industrial development could neither solve the problem of economic underdevelopment nor the social ones created by mass poverty, unemployment, and insecurity of life and property. Before 1985, the public sector dominated the economy of Nigeria. But after the introduction of the Structural Adjustment Program in 1986, the private sector was then looked upon as the catalyst for economic development.
Africa is full of opportunities, And I think what we did was to actually to harness fully the opportunities that we met on the ground. I mean, we've done quite a lot in various areas. We started first, with trading. After succeeding with trading, now what we did was to go into manufacturing, which is normally a very difficult area, especially from this part of the world because of lack of power.
Right.
But we've been able to resolve those issues, and we're able to succeed in most of what we are doing.
The private sector in Nigeria plays a huge role in helping to fight the problem of extreme poverty by taking responsibility of tasks performed by the state, thereby relieving the pressure on public expenditure and allowing the federal government to focus its resources on key social and physical infrastructure. The private sector also helps in broadening the economic base, making Nigeria less susceptible to external stimuli. The private sector also helps in human resource development, education and training, job skill formation. It also teams up with foreign partners to provide a springboard for foreign direct investments in vital infrastructure like transportation, communication, power, and information technology.
The deregulation of the financial services sector in the late 1980s and early 90s changed the face of banking and indeed financial services, providing improved services and spurring funding for investment. We have banks such as First Bank, UBA, Union Bank, GT Bank, Zenith Bank, and Stanbic IBTC to thank for this transformation and the establishment of these household names. The indigenization of the oil and gas sector is one that several administrations have promoted and enabled since independence. The transfer of content, skills, and wealth to Nigerians and the Nigerian economy has been our goal since the discovery of oil. Today, we can proudly speak of reforms such as the passage of the Nigerian Oil and Gas Industry Content Development Act and the establishment of entities such as Owando PLC, Seplat, Conoil, First Petroleum, and Forte Oil, which continue to fly the flag and champion the transfer of knowledge and ownership to Nigerians in the oil and gas industry. We cannot speak of transformation of the Nigerian economy without mentioning the telecommunications sector. Who knew that providing access to a phone for everyone would lead to a transformation in our way of life, the way we work, our definition of a means of livelihood? We have trailblazers and reformers such as MTN Nigeria, Globacom, Airtel, and Nine Mobile to thank for this.
The private sector is the engine of growth, and in Nigeria, it's no exception. Successful businesses drive growth, create jobs, and pay taxes that finance services and investment. In developing countries, the private sector generates 90% of jobs, funds 60% of all investments, and provides more than 80% of government revenues.
Our major goal is to drive job-intensive growth of the Nigerian economy. This is being executed through three thematic areas. 1, backward integration and domestication of production, for which we have designed and are executing the following programs. Fast-tracking the establishment of 6 world-class special economic zones across the country. These are located in Ibom, Akwa Ibom State, Lekki, Lagos State, Funtua, Katsina State, Benue State, Eyimba, Abia State, and Kano and Calabar and Cross River State. Work has begun on the 2 brownfield projects located at Kano and Calabar. We have agreed a project structure and operating model which will be implemented by the Technical Implementation Committee. Driving local production of key commodities like sugar, cassava, starch, automotive assembly, cotton, textiles, and garments. 2, enabling business environment to attract and retain investments. This consists of the following projects which aim to improve the ease of which businesses operate in Nigeria. The Presidential Enabling Business Environment Council, PEBEC. We are implementing the 5th National Action Plan, which is a set of business climate reforms in Kano and Lagos State, and selected federal ministries, departments, and agencies. Reform of critical legislation, such as the Nigerian Export Promotion Zones Authority Act, the Oil and Gas Free Zones Authority Act, the Companies and Allied Matters Act, and passage of the proposed automotive industry bill, etc. Digitization and automation of trademark and patents, and deepening the implementation of the One-Stop Investment Center for investment facilitation. And 3, facilitating trade and market access. This consists of the following: positioning Nigeria to successfully participate in the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement through the National Action Committee, which coordinates relevant ministries, departments, and agencies to drive the implementation of the African Continental Free Trade Area Act readiness projects and initiatives, and financing micro, small, and medium enterprises, MSMEs, through the provision of affordable financing from the Bank of Industry and the Economic Sustainability Plan.
The new policy is a first step, and we into auto industry, we found out that this is the only way auto industry will succeed in Nigeria and Africa. The policy will help auto industry to grow in Nigeria. Because of this policy, many more companies will come to establish more motor industry in Nigeria.
Very, very exciting and challenging time to be Minister of Works and Housing with the commitment and support that President Buhari has given to the development and renewal of infrastructure. The beneficiaries of this commitment clearly will be businesses, private sector, manufacturers, people involved in transport, logistics, and agro-business, getting produce to farm, and essentially helping Nigerian businesses to be much more efficient, much more cost-effective, and generally achieve an ease of doing business. So there can be no better time for private sector to engage with business, with government now, especially now that our country has ratified the African Continental Free Trade Agreement.
We must not be afraid of free trade. We must not be afraid of intra-regional trade. You're looking at a region in which the Continental Free Trade Area opens up 3.3 or 3.4 trillion dollar market. And so every country must be ready to participate in a wider market. You don't grow by closing your market. You grow by trading in goods and services and making sure capital flows across countries.
This is the time for a handshake between government and private sector to unleash the power of Nigerian enterprise on the African continent and beyond.
The Federal Capital Territory, FCT, Abuja, serves as the capital of Nigeria. It is one of the wealthiest urban areas in Africa, playing home to some of the richest people on the continent. The presence of numerous governmental institutions, foreign embassies, and a strategic location in the heart of the nation has led to significant investment in the city. This has resulted in Abuja ranking among the fastest growing cities globally. With a population of over 2.5 million, Abuja currently has the fourth biggest metropolitan population in Nigeria after Lagos, Kano, and Ibadan. The Honorable Minister, Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, Mohammed Musa Bello.
Abuja, as the federal capital city of Nigeria, hosts many international as well as local businesses. And since the advent of this administration of President Muhammadu Buhari, the Abuja has continued to be a destination for investments in Nigeria. As a matter of fact, recent data released indicates that most foreign direct investments now come to Lagos, Abuja, and Kaduna State. And this is not by accident. It's as a result of deliberate government policy of the federal government as well as the FCT administration to attract investment to Abuja. Over the last few years, particularly under this administration, we concentrated on making sure that infrastructure is upgraded and taken to the next level. And that's why you find that the road network within the capital city itself has been continuously under upgrade. And as an administration, we tried to complete all the ongoing projects that we inherited. Secondly, relative to many parts of the country, Abuja is very secure. For us, we are very emphatic on the need to make Abuja secure, and that has made it a very good destination for investments. Thirdly, Abuja is well linked by all the three major transportation modes in this country, by air, by road, and now of late by rail. Abuja as a city is growing, and Abuja will continue to grow. As a matter of fact, population growth in the city, according to international organizations, is between 7 to 9% annually. So the city physically is growing, demographically it's growing. The natural thing is that business will also continue to grow.
Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory of Nigeria, deserves an industrial park. The enormous project Abuja Industrial Park is to supply more applicable and special area for gathering different sectors from all over the world to Nigeria and to promote sustainable development of Nigeria. Abuja Industrial Park will bring a great industrial vision and focus on increasing domestic production. So more than 40,000 estimated numbers of local people will be employed by the end of the Industrial Park project. With 177 parcels area, the park will bring a new and modern industrial culture and a great value to Abuja and Nigeria as well.
The process of easing business is not a once-off thing. It is something that is gradual, and is something that, if you notice, you will see that the presidential ease of doing business committee, PEBEC, has worked tremendously during the last 4 years to ensure that in Abuja, as well as other parts of the country, the process of taking business is eased. And what we have done here, we have done a lot of improvement in the land administration system. What now we are working on seriously is also to be able to harmonize taxation. And also we have what we call the Abuja Enterprise Agency. It's an agency that works to ensure that businesses are encouraged and also bottlenecks are removed, especially for the SMEs, the small and medium businesses. Particularly, you will notice that we are among the first subnationals that established a one-stop shop where all agencies that provide approvals for businesses are domiciled and located, and that has helped a lot. But gradually, Abuja has become a destination. It's no longer just an administrative city. It's an industrial and business and commercial city. And I call upon corporate Nigeria to appreciate the fact that by its location in the central zone of Nigeria, and also serving as a kind of a bridge between all the all the remaining 5 geopolitical zones, it offers a lot of opportunity. The government of President Muhammadu Buhari has done a lot to bring about private investment, has brought in a lot of very, very important legislative programs as well as interventions either by the ministries directly or by the central bank to ensure that private sector is given its rightful role. And the reality is, for us to attain economic development and also to ensure gainful employment of our teeming youth, particularly well-educated, obviously government alone cannot do it. So I call upon all those in the private sector to partner with all the government agencies and ministries under the leadership of President Muhammadu Buhari to see that they play their greatest role towards bringing development in Nigeria. And the beauty of it is, with 200 million people, active young population, with a vibrant SME system, I think if corporate Nigeria continues to move the way they are and invest all across the country according to the major sectors that are priority, agriculture, solid minerals, healthcare, I think a lot can be achieved.
This is the time for a handshake between government and private sector to unleash the power of Nigerian enterprise on the African continent and beyond.
And we remain steadfast in our commitment to create an enabling environment for the growth of industry, trade and investment. We have many partners in our successes to date, and I've only mentioned very few. I call on all our partners, investors and stakeholders to participate actively in the development of this documentary of our journey and our achievements since independence.